welcoming you on Facebook Live and the class of CosmoEnergy Sacred Science of Healing. Very happy to see you all here today. It's a beautiful Sunday, a sunny one, and hopefully the end of our quarantine, so we can finally feel a little bit more free and solid and healthy. So the topic of our today's live is egregors or egregors. Russian word is egregor, so I will likely be calling it egregors. If you prefer to call it in a different way, then never mind. You go for it. It's not that strict. All we need to do is to understand what is the egregor and what is the impact of it on our lives, and also how we are connected unconsciously or consciously to a bunch of egregors, and how to deal with it, and what kind of impact they have on our lives, and also how do we consciously or unconsciously process the connection with certain egregors, and what do they bring to our life. So in the previous, our previous class, we talked about limiting beliefs and how it is really hard to effectively fight limited beliefs if you're blindly simply don't know what they are. So they are managing your life and you cannot really see it, and it's called transparent beliefs. And for many people, it's very useful to know that beliefs are coming from egregors. And I hope that even skeptics, it's really hard to understand what is egregor and how some limiting beliefs or something invisible can impact your life if you're really a skeptic. But I hope this video will be given those ones who are skeptics a perspective of that not everything that is invisible can really impact our lives, not only money and power. Anyways, I hope it will be very useful information for you and for many other people who are watching this video, and also who you will be willing to share it with. So I would like to start off what is egregor. Egregor, it's invisible, untangible, subtle energy informational structure, and it also a psychic and astral entity of a group. Every group has this egregor. The smallest example of the group which has an egregor is a family, right? A family of 2 or more members. And the biggest egregor is some world organizations, such as Organization of United Nations or World Health Organizations, and everything actually in between, club, political party, a religion, or even the country that they have all their own egregors, right? In religion, it's clear what you have. In political party, you also have a strict beliefs and behaviors and structures. And also in your own country, you belong to the country, and you have a passport, you have a borders of your country, and you have a certain beliefs and behaviors. So every structure, every egregorial structure has certain beliefs, certain values, behavior patterns, professional slang, and ritual. And what is the egregor on the level where we can feel it and sense it? It doesn't have an intellect. Egregor doesn't have an intellect. It's a program which is simply embedded to one of self-managing mechanisms for a certain time, for certain types of life forms on our planetary system, and some other planetary and star system in this galaxy or other galaxies with a similar level of consciousness structure, which is not yet high enough to be able to manage itself, right? So, and because of the structure, egregorial structures, we can produce and collect a certain experience that our soul requests and require and pre-plan when it incarnates in this body. So in the very beginning, when a soul just incarnated into the body, whether it's young soul or not the young soul, it should have some basis. And because of the egregors, it's very easy to be oriented in a space when you actually don't need to think much about what the collection of experience in the beginning of your life would be, but you have some on default sets, right? What is the evolution of a soul process? It is when you're passing the egregors examination. Let's say you're realizing that you are under the influence of many different egregors, and when you're done with some subtle or gross energies, and depending on egregors, they can be positive or they can be negative. When you're done, and when you're realized person that you start to create, whether you start to create your own egregor or you start to create a very different experience where you might be somewhere in isolation and you're not under impact of any experience of the egregor, and then then you have a feeling that you're done with the samsara, and then you evolve to the next stage, maybe to the next stage of level of evolution of consciousness. So what is the fuel for egregors? Egregors consume people's psychic energy, and this psychic energy is coming from human emotions. And as egregors don't have intelligence, they don't define if this energy is good or bad. It just need to be an energy by definition. By the way, soul, being an intelligent entity, is also doesn't care about what you feel. If you feel up or down, it does only have a feeling of experience, right? So if it's a bad experience, or if what you consider to be a bad experience can be very rich experience for the soul, no matter if it's good or bad. It just when the soul went through deep, saturated, sometimes very negative experience, it has the gestalt closed, and then it goes to subtler energies and the subtler experiences, and you may feel you may only have a need to something very light and nice. So egregor can consume, it doesn't care if it consumes the crowd, the energy of the crowd of a stadium, or people who came to listen to some classical music. And so what is defining the group that is under the impact of the egregor, that is moving as a murmuring birds. You probably saw how, and some other species also have this instinctual egregorial mechanisms that when they get in together, and when they get in under the influence, under the impact of this mechanism, they start to behave, they lose individual awareness, and they only have a collective unconscious manifestation of what this egregor wants from them. As for example, birds would fly to the south, they don't have a personal awareness where the south is, but egregor knows and managing these birds the way that they survive. So how egregor dictates the behavior? every egregor, as we talked a little bit before, it has certain behavior patterns, and it also dictates a thinking patterns. And you can see it in many different ways. And also when you get into the from one egregor to another egregor, you may see that people that are under the impact of different egregors have a very different set of values and set of thoughts, and they are defining themselves as a believers or workers or family members, and they have their own values and principles and a set of rules, and those rules are unwritten and they are only on a subconscious level. And for example, when you're getting into Christmas party with your family, or to the office meeting, or to ecstatic dance with your favorite DJ, it's a different you, right? When you're getting with to the different egregors, you're just undeniably find yourself subconsciously following the rules and subconscious beliefs of that group that you're getting into. But when you some situations can be really obvious, which is giving you the understanding that some of the egregors are completely incompatible with the others. Imagine yourself getting ready for a formal office meeting, and this meeting is supposed to be, for example, from 2 to 4 p.m. and you get in there in your best sexy clothes, um, and being very expressive and producing some movements and sounds, and you get in there and you're saying, huh, um, I thought that this meeting, you're getting late for half an hour and you're saying, oh, I thought this meeting is from 2 to 4 p.m. and I can show up anytime I want. Would you mind if I'll just dance here a little bit? So you can imagine what kind of reaction you may have from your colleagues or other people who are protective now at this moment to formal office meeting. So you may have a lot of aggression and judgment, and because you are a threat to their egregor, and egregor is a protective structure, it protects its rule, and the behavior of its members becomes unconscious defensive behavior, and you can appear on both sides. You can be the threat for egregor, and you can be the one who has a reaction from the side of egregor. You can remember some circumstances in your life when you became a defensive or a protector of certain rules that you was thinking are your rules, but by definition we don't have any rules as an entity, as a soul, right? We have all the rules that come in as layers, as the onion layers, when we become a person, a personality. So egregor is creating us as a personality, given these layers of onion or Russian doll layers, giving us a perspective of what kind of behavior we need to follow in what particular situations.